Welcome to Jokkmokk, minus 40 Celsius, and today I'm going to show you how you start the car when it's extremely cold. We have had below 47 out here on the lake where I live. This car has been standing for several days without being started up. Sorry for the camera filming quality, because you see it is cold now. It is winter. We call it winter actually. This happens now and then, that we get below 40 down to 45, 47 if you look at our thermometers, but our thermometer is not calibrated, so I don't really know if they are correct. But anyway, it's winter, it's cold, and engines mess up your life then. Dog teams never. But now let's head into how you start your car.
We are Stina and Matti. We run a lifestyle company in the north of Swedish Lapland. For living, we work as nature guides and dog mushers. This is our life, our dream and our home. You're welcome to follow us on the journey.
This morning we plugged in the electric heater into the oil thing, and that heated up. The whole last night it had been standing with battery charger, so the battery should be fully charged, but it is also a little bit difficult to charge batteries when it's cold. You should bring the battery into warmer places when you charge it. But this is what we could do now, and I think this car is still too cold to start. I don't want to push it. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm showing you some tricks that I do. One of the very important part to do is never ever put the parking brake. If something's freeze, it is the parking brake. And I made another mistake here, as you see. I put the nose with the car away from the point where helping car can come and access and help me with starting cables. Always put the tail backwards into the snow and keep the nose so you can access this from the road or from a helping car, because you sometimes need helping start cables from another car. So this was a mistake I made. Now I show you how we prepare the car to actually be able to start. All cars in northern Sweden have this original plug-in, and we use them when it's minus 10 or colder. Usually probably should use them when it's around 0 also, to save the engine, because this heat up the oil or heat up the liquid in the car, and that make the whole engine, it not taking so hard effort to the engine. It don't destroy the engine when you start it then. Starting a cold engine is like rough for the car. Now we have covered up with the heater here, but I will cover up more and put another heater into all cars, so I show you. Oh, what I'm using is one of these heaters that you usually have inside the coupe. We never heat up inside the car, we only heat up the engine. When the engine is warm, you heat up the inside of the car. So this one I put down here together somewhere in the engine, and I must be careful so it's not melting some plastic, electric or something like that. It should not drip oil or diesel on it either. So you must put it in a place where it's protected and not too close to other things. So for me, I put it like here, and then it blows the air in here. The air will also reach the battery, and that will make the battery warm, and it will make it simple for the car to start. All cables, as you see, they are super hard, so you must be careful with the cables, because it's so easy to break a cable. If you bend them, the plastic that cover the copper inside will crack. That is super bad, because either you get the electric through you, or the fuse blow in the house, and then it's dark. So you must treat cold cables really careful. Don't drive over this cold cable with a snowmobile. Don't drive over them with a car. Protect your frozen cables really well. And if I have a cable that is tied round and hard and I want to take it out, I take it inside first, make it warm and then pull it out outside. Don't stress, let things take time. When you start plugging in one heater here, one heater there, another heater there, when you start doing that, the fuse of the electric supply to the house can be overloaded and then the whole fuse blows. And if that fuse blows, you suddenly don't have electric into the cabin or into your house. So you don't add everything, don't heat up all the cars at the same time. You had to take it a little bit cool and take one after another. Stress takes you nowhere in the bush, as we say in the north. So now I plug this in and close it and cover it with blankets. So what you see is actually that I have covered up the whole engine and everything, and it's important that you cover the sides also to avoid that the air is moving. That's how we do it. And here, when we have access to electricity, then we use the electric heater, of course. Sometimes when I'm out in the forest, then I use one of my fuel MSR pump stove and I put it under there, the pump stove, you know. When you use that stove, you must be careful so you don't have oil or actually gasoline dripping from the engine down to the flame, because then the car blow away. So if you put open flames under that, it's super important that, especially if it's a gasoline car, that you don't have dripping or leaking gasoline. If it's a diesel car, that's less problem. So I know some people, they have big pots, they put this alcohol in it and start it to burn, and then they have this alcohol heater under. Some people use this you know, the big party candles, marshal we call it in Sweden, big candles, and you put it under when you're leaving the car, because that gives some heat during the day, and one of these candles keep burning for several hours. I don't do that. I use the fuel, you know, with the pump MSR XGK. I have made a review, I put a link to that review also, what I use. The gas canisters in this low temperature, they are dead. But you need a heat source under the engine to warm it up, and that can be different kind of heat engines. And nowadays you also find super nice big gasoline cannons, or what they call them, and they just blowing a lot of warm air through it, and with them you can melt everything and probably also burn down everything, but they are really good, but we don't have them. When you have this low temperature, you must be careful with all plastic details. Don't use force, because things like this will break if you use force. Also inside the car, all the plastic things will break. And there is other things that are very fun when it's cold like this, and that is actually that this seat that is normally very soft, now it's like a brick, it's super hard. Another car here where you have manual gear, the oil in the gearbox is so hard, so not liquidish, it's more like, I don't know, So it's super difficult to change gear. All the things you're doing with the car, you must be careful. Drive carefully, do everything carefully. And a very funny thing, the tire is flat, closest to the ground. And when you start driving this car, the rubber in the tire is actually frozen in that position. So you had to drive a few meters or 100 meters or 1 kilometer until the rubber has started softening. And while you're doing that, the whole car will be like boom, 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 from the flat tire. It's not a flat tire, but a part of the tire is flat. If this car starts, I start it and I let standing with the engine on for maybe 15 to 30 minutes just to make it warm. And then when I start driving, I drive backwards and maybe forwards or something like that, very slowly. You should not start turning the wheels, because then you destroy the rubber things here. You must drive straight for a while, back and forward or something, until this is okay. It's like 40 Celsius below zero now, and I'm going to try to start the car. One of the first things you had to do is actually to take away all your tools and things that are inside the engine. Don't forget to take it out, because it's so easy when you start that the fan and things in the car start rotating, and then you mess up a lot of things. Put out all the things so nothing can mess up with the cooling fan in the car. And now I try to start it. As you see, that one started almost as it was summer. No problem at all. Now I still will keep this covered over the engine for 20 minutes and let the engine work for a while, because then it's really getting warm. That's super important. You had to avoid ice clogs in the cooling water system, because that could happen. Now when the car is started, there is a few more things I really want you to know. If you start driving this car, you must keep an eye on the heat. If you get the ice clog, the temperature in the motor will goes up very fast, and you can also recognize it because on this car, older cars, you don't get heat in the coupe, because the heat in the coupe goes through the if you have an ice clog, you don't get heat in the coupe. Simple with this car. I think that's same with all cars. If you get the ice clog and you continue driving, you will blow the engine, because then the engine start boiling and will be overheated, and that is bad. That is really bad. And another thing that's super important to remember is when you're driving, the car can stop any moment, because it's extremely cold and it can stop any moment. This is something you should take in your calculation every time when it's colder than 20 or the whole winter. Dress for success. Dress with warm clothes. You should be able to walk away from the car. You should be able to survive without the car. Suddenly the car is cold. Suddenly the car stops. And then it's super nice with warm clothes, good shoes for walking and in cold climate. Don't be city dressed and go on these roads up here in the north. You must be prepared for it. I think that was all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe you don't live in here and maybe you don't use exactly this knowledge, but maybe you at least find some entertainment in this. I'm happy that the car started, but of course it's Toyota. It's a Toyota Land Cruiser. My Toyota is fantastic. See you in next video. Oops, this was not a sponsored video. See you in next video. Ciao!